Hi, welcome to XRTV Victoria. I'm Mark Nykanen. We gratefully acknowledge that we live and work on the unceded, unsurrendered lands of the Lekwungen, Wasanich, and Willamette peoples. A lot has happened this month at Fairy Creek, where Indigenous and settler forest defenders have blockaded logging roads since July. They've been trying to save some of the last unprotected ancient trees in the entire province. Their reward? Heavily armed RCMP officers have moved to impose an injunction against the blockaders, forcing them off the logging roads. So far, more than 130 have been arrested, and still counting.
Off the road! Move back! Back up!
Confrontations have been fierce. Actions by the blockaders dramatic. Below a sign that says respect existence or expect resistance, two forest defenders locked themselves to chainsaws on a bridge. Katie George Jim, a legal observer and the niece of esteemed Pachidat elder Bill Jones, was seized by RCMP officers. So was another forest defender.
Lady, you're suffocating her.
Katie George Jim was also slammed face first into the bus behind them. Two officers bent the man backward over a log. Both forest defenders were arrested. Katie was released that afternoon. Recently, Katie's uncle, Elder Bill Jones, told RCMP officers about his own experience with police.
I was beaten severely 4 times in my life for sticking up for my rights by the vicious cops. Hang on, I'm making a statement. And then they used violence, they used death, smallpox, and prison to destroy us, to enact what we call the colonial law. You are invaders, or if you're a part First Nation, you're a turncoat, you're a deserter. So now you are in this process of oppressing us even more by not letting anyone into our hereditary territory. And you're acting out of no authority because you have never consulted the people.
As we gather right now, 30 RCMP vehicles have descended on Pachidat territory and are in the process of arresting people who are defending Adiatsk, the headwaters of the Fairy Creek watershed, where this all began 10 months ago when we set up road blockades preventing logging road incursions into the unlogged Fairy Creek watershed. And it is upsetting to see 10 months later, with a massive groundswell of public outrage to the status quo that is laying waste to the equivalent of 34 soccer fields of old-growth forest on Vancouver Island, that the provincial government has done nothing to match the courage and the principled leadership of Indigenous peoples asserting their right to defend their sovereign territories from the onslaught of continued old-growth logging. What we have seen are the RCMP threatening to use rubber bullets and tear gas on peaceful frontline forest protectors sitting 100 feet up in ancient hemlocks.
Well, here they come. The choppers are circling overhead.
What we have seen this week are loggers who have been let into the exclusion zone, where there are no legal observers, where there are no media, and where they have been falling trees, 100-foot trees, 1 to 2 tree lengths away from people who are occupying the forest canopy to protect those ancient forests.
Others blocked roadways and were arrested, or did not block roadways and were arrested. More than 50 on this day alone.
If the road was blocked, that we would be detained, but the road is accessible to you all. You can pass through.
Just being in an injunction area, you are under arrest. So I'm going to start with this gentleman. Please grab him.
Oh, I'm acting police
This is, we haven't had the opportunity to
identified
arrest
myself.
That's
for
fine. You're under
breach of
arrest.
the injunction and obstruction.
Being here
I'll
to
have you
keep us
come
here.
with me. So, if you're walking,
Grab this lady here.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Well, I'm a legal observer.
You're under arrest, okay,
Okay.
for breaching the injunction, okay? So let's go.
Okay.
You have a right to talk to a lawyer.
This map shows the forest defenders' encampments. All are targeted by the injunction and its RCMP enforcers. This was the police roadblock at the Kaikous encampment, where people from the Dididot First Nation were stopped from entering their traditional and unsurrendered territory.
Honestly, I think you guys have no jurisdiction over the tribal members, and you should not be blocking them from accessing their traditional territory. I think there's no reason you can give us that that is happening. Is that correct?
No, I don't believe that is correct, sir.
I know you implied that it wouldn't be safe if we enter this zone here, but we're here to exercise our rights to protest peacefully and show support for our neighbors over here.
Right. And unfortunately, I can't allow you to pass here.
Were there any Indigenous elders that gave consent for you to make this an exclusion zone?
I'm not dealing with that today.
You said if anyone enters the exclusion zone, then they would be arrested for
Obstruction.
obstruction.
Yeah.
Two people
So we're not
sorry to interrupt. Sorry.
we're not allowed to enter our traditional territory to
Not
peacefully
into this
protest
area, no.
in our territory because this is DT dot.
And I understand that. And unfortunately, at this time, you are not allowed to come through here.
So this seems to me like a major hole in your guys' whole process. I heard you saying that, oh, well, did you check with the police first before you came here? I really think that in all due respect, that was your responsibility to say, hey, we're going to be occupying your territory. Can we check in and make sure people are getting their needs met?
Who said
That-
check with the police before you come in?
That's right. I heard that in the beginning of this dialogue. You said, well, did you think to ask us first before you came in on this road?
Because they were
All media.
So I think that ideally you guys would have created that whole process by now, so these folks don't have to stand out here on the road for hours waiting for a response about how they can access their traditional territory.
Later today.
I mean, that's not sufficient at all. You're going to take a plan later today. We're here right now asking you to please call command.
Understand. So right now, we're going to take a look at about the vehicles. Are you saying that refusing to move the vehicles right now or looking at moving them?
No, I'm
We're
going to
waiting for
move
you
them,
to
but
Okay.
my newborn is in the front seat, so they're going to have to wait for her to be fed to move.
Okay, so the truck is coming through here. I need everybody to move out of the road. Please move out of the road.
The truck eased past, while a newborn was fed. Then a police van hauled away more blockaders, arrested for defending Ferry Creek. The crowd cheered. Unlike the indigenous who wanted to enter their traditional territory, the media were accommodated quickly. There was no lack of media interest as the RCMP used shovels and a jackhammer to remove a forest defender. He'd cemented his arm deep into the ground, forcing officers to work long and hard to arrest him. He was wheeled away. Jeremy Herndl is a Victoria artist who's part of Ferry Creek's Artist in Residence program, which we will report on in our next episode. He calls the push to cut the ancient trees crazy.
It's so insane that they would do that. It boggles me, the insanity of it. So I'll get in the way up there. I'm going to bring watercolor material as well, so that I can work light and mobile.
It is absolutely extraordinary that they're doing this.
Yeah. Using what amounts to an armed militia to accommodate the greed of a few guys who own a company, so that they can take what isn't even theirs, what's ours, what's my children's, what's our great-great-grandchildren's. They feel entitled to take that now. It just boggles my mind, because it feels like I'm being robbed.
Because you are.
I am. And not just me, but my kids. And people in the future who are going to look back on today and go, you idiots. The greed. I just like to take the last of it. It's just greed. And I find it confounding that the BC government is facilitating it. They're not just allowing it, they're facilitating it.
But the NDP and its enforcers are not winning every battle. 2 days after the RCMP cleared out a vital camp, Pachidot leaders secured passage to their territory. And they were followed by about 200 supporters. Those forest defenders didn't pause until they reclaimed their camp 10 kilometers away. For now, it's in their hands again.